Coming up tonight on YCN News, Vermont prepares for its annual Green Up Day this weekend. Owners of a popular Vermont theme park face charges on animal cruelty. And members of the Democratic congressional delegation in Vermont and New Hampshire bring up the debate on raising minimum wage. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Wednesday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. A day after a forum to discuss fighting drug addiction in Claremont and almost a week after a similar discussion in Vermont's Windham County, plans to accomplish this continue to take shape. On the flip side, the effects on residents who do not use drugs also are becoming apparent. During Tuesday night's meeting of the Bellows Falls Village Trustees and the Rockingham Select Board, one resident made this point clear. Bellows Falls resident Deb Wright reminded the audience and boards that Saturday is Vermont's annual Green Up Day. Wright said her family will participate in this yearly sprucing up of yards and sidewalks and town parks. She also cautioned the board to keep an eye out for any hypodermic needles that may have been tossed into a river or stream or brush. Along with this, both boards heard Town Manager Chip Stearns discuss a plan to spend about $8,000 from a future budget to pay for the training of Caesar. Caesar is a Malamute and less than a year old. He will be working with a local police officer and be trained to detect narcotics on searches. And Caesar and his officer will routinely patrol the area to step up their presence to citizens. The K-9 officer team will aim to serve as a deterrent for would-be drug dealers, especially involving the sale or use of drugs in a school zone. If this will help, let's do it, said Rockingham Select Board Chairman Tom McPhee. We've got a major drug problem in the village. Caesar and the officer also will ride in a patrol car through the town. At that point, at least one board member warned Stearns not to single out any demographic group for drug use after a particular comment Stearns made regarding who else could leave town in a car. In other Vermont news, a formerly popular animal park in Vermont faced cruelty charges in Brattleboro District Court yesterday. Vermont Public Radio reported earlier this winter that Santa's Land in Putney was found with 18 dead animals on the property. A veterinarian said the 16 deer found had died from hypothermia, but they had also suffered from inadequate feed intake. The owners, Lillian Billowitz and Brian Deisler, who purchased the park last spring, pleaded not guilty to the charges of animal cruelty. The animals are currently being left under the owner's care, but Judge David Sontag, according to VPR's report, is ordering they follow a specific plan of care and allow authorities to monitor it. YCN News will keep you updated with any new information regarding this story. Two Upper Valley residents in their 20s were arrested on drug charges earlier today by Vermont State Police patrolling I-91. 25-year-old Zachary Riley of Hartford, Vermont, and 23-year-old Julie Dexter of Windsor, Vermont, are charged with trafficking heroin. Riley also is charged with DUI. Shortly before 1:30 a.m., police stopped the blue Toyota Camry Riley was driving on I-91 near the Rockingham exit for a motor vehicle violation, a police report notes. During the stop, police say they learned that Riley and Dexter were in possession of heroin. Riley consented to a body search, police report. Riley was found by the officers to be in possession of a felony level of heroin and driving the Camry under the influence of narcotics. Police also searched Dexter after she gave her consent. About 30 bags of heroin were found, the press release notes. Riley and Dexter are scheduled to appear in Windham County Superior Court on June 10th. Both are free on bail pending the conditions set for their release.
If you have an orthopedic issue, turn to Dr. James M. Murphy, a board-certified orthopedic surgeon at New London Hospital. Working in collaboration with Concord Orthopedics, Dr. Murphy evaluates and treats hand, elbow, shoulder, knee, hip, and ankle fractures and pediatric injuries. New London Hospital is in your neighborhood, providing primary and specialized services in its state-of-the-art facility. To learn about our services and our compassionate doctors, visit newlondonhospital.org. New London Hospital, your prescription for living well.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Members of the Democratic congressional delegation in both Vermont and New Hampshire wasted little time in blasting Republican colleagues for not allowing debate on raising the federal minimum wage nationwide. The legislation is called the Minimum Wage Fairness Act that proposes to raise the current federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour to $10.10 per hour. Senator Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire and Senator Bernie Sanders agree that more Americans will be helped by this than hurt. New Hampshire goes by the federal minimum wage for the state's minimum. Vermont's minimum wage is $8.73 per hour. Another candidate is throwing his hat into the local New Hampshire political arena. Jerry Little, a former state banking lobbyist, announces his candidacy for the District 8 Senate seat via Twitter. Using the Twitter handle Jerry Little #4SEN, Little joins Democrat Linda Tanner in the race for the seat being vacated by Bob Odell of New London. Save the date this Sunday, May 4th, for a free concert. It's the 4th annual Swing into Spring musical lineup presented by the Kearsarge Community Band. The show begins at 2 p.m. in the New London Outing Club indoor facility. The Outing Club building is located on Cougar Court off Pleasant Street in New London and is free and open to the public.
Warner's Main Street Bookends has been your community bookstore since 1998 and voted Yankee Magazine's Editor's Pick Must-See Bookstore. Bookends is a full-service store offering a huge selection of current fiction and nonfiction with children's book selection, toys, and games. Bookends has a huge card selection for all occasions, along with Main Street Marketplace and Gallery in the attached barn. 100% solar, Main Street Bookends of Warner is building your community one book at a time.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next 5 days, and he'll take a look at some local high school sports.
Thanks, Rose. Tomorrow we'll have more rain with temperatures rising to a high of 67 degrees with lows in the 40s. Friday, the rain should take a break and highs will be in the 60s with a low of 38 degrees. Saturday, we'll have a few showers with a high of 62 degrees and lows in the 40s. Sunday will be rainy with highs in the upper 50s and lows in the 40s. Monday will be partly cloudy with a high of 55 degrees and lows in the upper 30s. Here's a glimpse of the weather from our northeastern and national radar maps. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. Tomorrow, the Walpole, New Hampshire Select Board will meet at 6 p.m. In Hanover, New Hampshire, the HOP will host a show by the Martha Redbone Root Project at 7 p.m. tomorrow. In Vermont, the Marina Restaurant in Brattleboro will hold an open mic night Thursday at 7 p.m. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. Well, we have some wins and losses from some high school sports games yesterday. In 2 games with Souhegan, Lebanon won and lost. The Lebanon Raiders baseball team edged past Souhegan with a final score of 6-3. Unfortunately, the Raiders girls softball team could not pass Souhegan and lost the game 19-2. In a 2-game matchup with Stevens High School and Windsor High School in Vermont, the baseball and softball teams played. Stevens triumphed over Windsor in baseball. The final score was 2-1. This time, Windsor made a victory against Stevens in softball. They had 13 points compared to Stevens' 3 points. Lastly, let's turn to boys lacrosse. Monadnock High School defeated the Lebanon Raiders team yesterday with a score of 11-3.